have some big thoughts on AI and the legal practice. Technology in general has been on a big uptick.
There's just delays everywhere.
It was even beat into our heads in law school that all you need is your yellow legal pad and a can-do attitude.
My name is Christian Cooper, and I serve as corporate counsel.
Alison, Slotsve, and I manage Gemini's litigation support team.
We both work in legal, right? It can be very expensive when legal teams are not brought in for any business operating decision from the early on. If legal is an afterthought, it can be very costly.
Yes.
I'm curious, have you had any run-ins like that in your career where you go, man, why didn't you just bring me in yesterday, a week ago, a month, a year ago?
Yes, definitely. I think particularly with the area we're in, because it is a legal support company, there's so many ins and outs of service of process, service of subpoenas, record retrieval that you wouldn't think of, little things that come up that are questions and that don't necessarily get questioned, where it could have saved us a lot of time and money.
You get people who, with all the respect on planet Earth, maybe don't know the answer to a question or how to find that solution. And so they're just running around with their heads cut off, and it's wasting resources, time, money, brand effectiveness when you are not that, I hate to use the same word twice here, but effective.
Right.
I think of instances where I've had a run in my career where there was an audit happening from a government agency. Well, legal was not involved until the day of the audit. So we had no idea to prepare, set up, or even try to swat away, defend. Hey, you don't need to be sniffing around here, government agency, because X, Y, Z. And if legal was brought in from the very beginning, where someone who maybe thought they knew what they were doing didn't try to take on that problem on their own and shared the onus and shared that responsibility, legal could have helped defend and supported through that entire thing.
Right.
When you don't bring legal in from the beginning, you probably end up causing more legal problems in the future because of that.
Yes. I think it can be it feels that it's going to be cost prohibitive to bring in legal right away because it's, especially if you're dealing with like outside counsel, you don't want to pay for it necessarily.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like that saying, what is it? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure or something.
That sounds phenomenal. Let's just give you credit for the quote. I have no idea. I've never heard that, but I understand what you're saying.
Right. It might have cost you a little bit up front, but overall, you're going to save yourself a lot of time and money and headache if you wait too long to bring in a legal department.
What do you think are some of the biggest reasons why someone waits?
I definitely think cost. I think just lack of understanding of
I have a whole different take than you on this. So.
Okay. I think of sometimes I can say from just having been here so long, there sometimes like employers, if it's a mom and pop employer and we're trying to subpoena records from them, they don't necessarily want to take on that cost or get anybody to advise them on what they should be providing to us, what maybe they shouldn't. So sometimes they just bring in their entire file for all of their employees, slap it down on the desk here and say, take what you need.
I actually think cost is a great tidbit, especially for those when money is a problem or it's a concern or it's something they really have to keep an eye on, like a mom and pop shop where margins are slim and bringing on an attorney to help you out. But what happens when you have attorneys in-house?
Right.
And money isn't as big of a concern.
Right.
I think it's more ego. You have some business associate, maybe a VP, who thinks, oh, I can handle this, and I want to show the world I can. And so they wait till the very last minutes where something's gone wrong. I also think it's ignorance. Oh, I didn't know this was legal, or I thought I had to handle this. No one taught me to go to that person. And that is when I hear that ignorance, and I'm not using that as a negative, it's they didn't know, no one taught them.
Right.
I hold that personally as that's probably my fault as counsel. If you did not know to come to me and I'm in-house, something's wrong here. There were not proper policies and procedures set up. There were not checks and balances to where you, the individual, knew you had a teammate here the whole time. And I could have helped you. I could have been your big brother,
Right.
but you went on this road by yourself. And now there's a much bigger problem in front of us because that happened.
Definitely.
So we can share that responsibility where you should have known internally that spirit that's in the back of your brain going, something's wrong here, as well as, well, I probably could have held your hand through this process a little better.
Right.
Can you think of some instances of when legal absolutely must be brought in and versus, hey, maybe you can probably solve this on your own?
Yes. Anytime that we're served with any kind of orders,
Sure.
any kind of threat of sanctions or costs or anything like that, cease and desist letters, anything like that, that is a dead giveaway. Legal needs to be involved, needs to be notified. Basically, when we're served with any discovery orders,
Sure.
too, subpoenas, anything like that.
I think what comes to mind, too, is it's not just the courts are involved when drafting policies or procedures,
Yes.
HR, anything employment law related, things you can avoid that you step into as a company. Think of accidental discrimination. Maybe
Right.
you didn't know a policy drafted was using certain verbiage that is explicitly banned in whatever state
Right.
you're in. You bring legal in from the beginning, and then you don't accidentally catch a lawsuit where you have a court involved, where you know those instances
Right.
of when legal is. So you can see that's a really good example where you're describing court, and I'm describing bring me in
You're
on a corporate
preventing
level,
litigation. I'm
Yes.
talking about the litigation part. You want to, yes, it's definitely
which
easier
clearly
to
shows
prevent it.
bring us in early. People like you and I can help you avoid the need
Exactly.
to defend yourself in court. I think that brings us to a next point of what can happen when you don't bring in a counsel, a paralegal, you don't bring in a legal team. What kind of damages, if any, come to your mind when you don't bring us in from the beginning?
There's a lot of fines that can occur. Anything from HIPAA violations, if you unknowingly violate HIPAA, and there's still fines involved, even if it was accidental. There's labor laws, all the different violations, OSHA laws.
Yeah.
There's so many different kinds of fines you could face and liability you could face if you don't know that something is or isn't legal, or that it can create liability for you. So
This is
there's
great because I
lots
love
of
where your head's
reasons.
at, and you're very conceptual and concrete. I'll add on top of that of it's not just actual damages. There are irreparable things you cannot reverse, instances of where your business's reputation is harmed. And so it may not immediately show up as a fine, but it's going to hurt your bottom dollar when your
Right.
revenue sinks. So it's really cool to hear your thought process of when the courts are involved, legal needs to be there. And then, hey, if you have a fine, those are things that you could have avoided. Yes, but you could have prevented that from the very beginning. And also, if you don't prevent that from the very beginning, the outside the boxes, your company, people are going to look at you differently.
Right.
Right? You have
Definitely.
a PR instance where maybe legal didn't vet a statement that was going to the public. Well, you said some nasty things in there that may, or you were so ignorant to the fact of what you were saying that
Right.
this now hurts us. And legal could have maybe helped prevented that, right? Especially when think of your lobbying, you're offering a public comment. It's probably best to have counsel draft that up because you want to take
Definitely.
some of the emotion out of that and be factual. This bill should say this because, as opposed to I have all these feelings and colors are coming out of me and I want to say this. And then you go, oh, no. Well, you just lost 10% of revenue because something like that happened.
Do you think, too, especially this day and age with social media, of thinking about things that get posted on companies' social medias, comments, or,
Yeah.
there's all kinds of things on Twitter and Facebook. And
Yeah, I don't know how too deep in the rabbit hole we want to go with this because I personally adamantly feel if a corporation is going to be given a corporate citizen status where corporations can donate, to a politician. You have a freedom of speech too, and you're allowed to say whatever you want. But, those need to be aligned with your mission statement, and those need to be aligned with your common business practices and what you're trying to establish,
Right.
as opposed to maybe you're all over the place. And maybe because now your statements are here, there, left, right, up, down, and no one knows what you're trying to convey, you hurt your reputation, right?
Exactly.
So yes, I believe businesses should be allowed to say whatever you want. And if it hurts your business, well, you made that business decision to do so. And if it doesn't, great. Hopefully it's because you had legal helping you out. But yeah, I don't think you should strifle what you want to say.
No,
It
but
just
maybe
needs
have
to be
a policy. Like that's what I think in my head I was getting at, of just having that policy and having that your legal team draft that and come up with that and get everybody on the same page so that you know what your messaging is and where you're going with that and with anything public facing, so that you don't risk ruining your reputation unknowingly.
Sure. Most companies have a policy that if a reporter calls in or if a public statement is requested, it should go through the proper channels,
Right.
so that the person answering the phone, who is maybe an expert on, I'll think of Gemini Legal specifically, someone who might answer the phone is an expert in how to serve someone in the field, but maybe they're not up to date on the current geopolitical climate.
Right.
So we will take that question and funnel it through the proper channels to make sure the right person is saying the right information that they're an expert on. But if you don't have those pillars and building blocks inside your company, you might just faceplant and accidentally hurt your business. From your side, you're a paralegal, you're a Gemini Legal, you help in AR a lot. Have you ever felt the cost of not involving you from an early perspective hinder or make it difficult to collect, dispute, or bring a challenge? Because if you maybe were brought in from the beginning, you could have crafted the argument differently.
Yes.
Yeah.
That happens from time to time, particularly when we get involved. We're involved for AR with collecting on our invoicing. And that can be difficult sometimes because we bill the insurance carrier when they're not the ones that place the request. So we can definitely have a difference of opinion with them on whether we deserve to be paid for that particular service or not. If they have an argument that they're trying to put forth of why they shouldn't be liable for paying us, if it goes to somebody who's, say, new or doesn't know the response to that argument, we could miss out on maybe making them see our way of thinking and to maybe even avoid having to file a lien, going to court, having to file a petition for reimbursement. Those can take a long time and be a little bit more costly. Whereas if we had a stronger argument to begin with, then that we would have avoided that.
Sure. At a minimum, what I'm hearing is you could have controlled the narrative.
Yes,
And if
exactly.
you control the narrative, you can control the strategy legally of how to accomplish the company's goals. And the company's goals here are collect.
Yes.
And how do we do that? You.
My team.
Yes. That whole department, division.
Yes.
You guys are pixies and fairies, and you guys can do magical things. It's really impressive to watch. I don't know how we operate without that strategy at a very early on. And I'm sure Gemini has learned that through the hard way.
It's been a lot of trial and error, a lot of yes.
A lot of yes.
A lot of learning the ins and outs of the DIR and all the rules and regulations.
Gemini Legal has learned that the hard way. And by the way, I do want a t-shirt that says, yes. Like that should be the phrase of, how has Gemini Legal done anything? Yes.
So how do you think companies can create a culture where team members and departments feel encouraged or feel comfortable going to legal ahead of time or the right time to prevent some of these catastrophes from possibly occurring?
Culture's a great word to use here. You need to build an environment. Legal needs to be a partner and not Batman in the shadows who you come to when things are really dire, right? If teams, departments, individuals don't feel comfortable coming to legal from the very beginning because they're scared, or we're scary people in suits and the people are intimidated because maybe we use a lot of Latin, I don't know. That's our fault. It would be my fault here at Gemini Legal if someone was scared to come talk to us, or the culture wasn't, or culture wasn't in such a way, or crafted in such a way that I have an open door policy. That would, it almost, describing that to you right now hurts my feelings. It makes me want to go, oh no, and give someone a hug. I'm so sorry that someone in your past made you feel that way. Some
Right.
attorney, other company you've worked at, because that's not how it's supposed to be. And as I continue and pick up that, what's the phrase I want to use here? Grab the baton in a marathon, as I grab that stick and help bring it forward to the finish line, because we're standing on the shoulders of giants who have helped build Gemini Legal and built the culture around here. I want to continue doing that here and say, we have an open door policy. I'm happy to work with everyone. And hopefully that makes you, the individual, you, the team, you, the department, feel comfortable to come to me of, hey, I think this might be an issue. Also, educating. I need to educate and do a lot of seminars, handouts, lectures, in meetings saying, hey, please be aware of these things. You can ask me in the future. So as long as we're doing both, that is building the culture as well as educating them what to look for, couple that together and you've got an unbelievable relationship with all teams and all companies. It's a pretty easy system to do. Executing, let me rephrase that, because conceptually, it's very easy.
Right.
Execution requires a lot of dedication, a lot of commitment, and you need buy-in from your other partners. Those partners, not like a law firm partner. If you were at a law firm, that's what it would be. But
Right.
in a corporation, your partners are sales, operations, marketing, executive teams, feeling like they can come to you. And as long as you don't let them down and you cultivate this relationship, you're going to be very successful. Here's a situation. You're a non-legal team member. You're a non-legal department. How do you go ask legal for help? What is there a triggering event, or how do you feel comfortable enough going to legal and saying, I need help?
Well, I think definitely knowing when to ask for help if you have any question. If it's even questionable whether you should get legal involved, just play it safe and ask. And I would hope that here we have that culture where hopefully our teammates do feel comfortable coming and asking questions and asking for help. But it's better to ask for help and not need it than it is to get legal involved too late.
Absolutely. Because it costs you everything we've already talked about, including potentially tens, hundreds, millions of dollars, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. I think my best advice for someone in that scenario, you treat it like getting medical help. You're your best advocate, right?
Right.
So if you feel legal needs to be involved and maybe you're too scared or legal has told you no in the past, you have to stand up for yourself if you're too scared. And if you've been told no in the past, you need to go advocate. I need legal to help me out here. Maybe legal feels like they're overwhelmed and they have bigger
Right.
fish to fry. Well, if your fish is really important to you, you have to go stand up to that and say, I need help because, and I'm not leaving until I get it.
Right. And I agree with that completely. And also just, if not the help, then at least let me understand. Make me understand why I don't need help.
We're humans too.
Right.
I'm fallible by a lot. I mess up all the time. In my personal life, I'm sure I mess up I don't forget to take the trash out, right? But again, if your legal issue is really important to you and I'm not seeing it, maybe there's a miscommunication error on both ends. And
Right.
sit me down and say, this is really important to me because, or I think legal needs to bump this up in your priority list because. Spell it out. I'm not a mind reader. I don't have a crystal ball. And I think a lot of people think, when I was in private practice and you'd have clients come up to you and they say, here is my issue. Well, I get a little jaded sometimes to those issues. I've heard them 100 million times in the past. So it's not that big of a deal. I'll move on to it. But you have to remind yourself, this is really important to your client. And in corporate, your client is a coworker, an employee, another team that you're working with. So attorneys, relax, take a breather. It's important to these people too, just because maybe it's someone's first NDA they've ever been a part of, or the first time they've ever had to get an MSA executed.
Right.
Well, then I hear you. I can help you out and figure that process out with you. But you need to advocate for yourself, because I may be working on an annual shareholder meeting that's coming up, and that's really important to me. But if it's your first time executing an MSA and I don't know that, then maybe I take more time out of my day to make you feel safe and comfortable and warm and fuzzy, and I give you that legal hug. Let's try to tie this all together, I guess. If you were moving to a new company and the culture there was, don't talk to legal, they're going to rat on you, how do you change that narrative?
I think it depends on what level you're at. Like if you are, so for me, just if you are management or hourly employee, entry level employee, you've got to just advocate for yourself and get really comfortable maybe putting those ideas into your superior's ears and helping to contribute to getting that idea out there, that there is maybe improvements that can be made with fostering that kind of culture. But as far as, so let's say for, your exec level or higher up, what do you think? Like, how do you think you could fix or create that?
Yeah, well, this is a pretty deep question. Trust is earned, not bought. So just because I come into a team and I say, hey, guys, I'm going to do great work, trust me, that's not how that happens in real life. Unfortunately, if I went to an organization where there was no trust in the legal team, you don't fix that overnight.
Right.
You're probably there for months, if not years, of doing good work over and over and over again, so that the other executives can start trusting you, and so that other team leads can start trusting you, and employees feel comfortable with. I go somewhere and I always have an open door policy. Sometimes that hurts my calendar a little bit because everyone comes in and wants to say hello, but I genuinely want to foster that environment, and I want to build trust, and I want it from top down and bottom up.
It definitely goes both ways. I think it starts at the top, but it definitely goes both ways.
Yeah. It's a logical fallacy to step into a role like that and think, because I'm here, you should trust me. And if you're private practice, public, working for the government and your constituents, or you're at a company like Gemini Legal, you don't walk into a situation and say, because I'm here, you have to trust me. It's earned. And I think the best bit of advice for anyone who was curious on how to earn that is do good work. Do good work for a fair amount of time over and over and over again, and build that trust of, hey, they now feel like you know what you're talking about and can come to you for this. In addition to that, like I said, you're marrying two different things before. You need to teach the rest of the team when they should be coming to you. And that's part of doing good work and doing that over and over and over again, week after week, month after month, quarter after quarter, year after year. And then they start to trust you.
Yeah,
right?
and I think doing that with patience too. Patience and understanding goes a long way. And realizing that the people coming to you, like you said before, they don't know the law like you do, like I do. So they're not as confident with this. So not making them feel like they're a burden or they're asking a dumb question, making them feel supported and heard and like you really care and want to make a difference.
Hopefully you're doing your work with love. And if you're doing it with love, that warm and fuzzy feeling that you're doing your work with, it comes across. I mean, I just had a meeting right before we started filming this where it was an issue that I felt genuine about. Hey, this needs to be done. And I hope that those people felt like the work I was doing was to help them, and that it's going to help not just them, but their team. And if you're not doing work like that, the building trust is going to take a long time. If you're just cold, calculated, and don't talk to me unless you need something.
You have to give them that metaphorical, consensual legal hug.